All right, good afternoon. Bless you.
Hey, Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Dak was talking a little bit yesterday that his first playoff game was against Green Bay, just kind of remembering how naive he was and thought how it would unfold. And just what do you remember of that game, and what do you remember of him in that game being his first playoff game?
You know, David, I think clearly you put some time into that great question, but I am not reflecting this week.
It was a different approach I was trying to get into.
No, I'm just trying to avoid the question. Yeah, I mean, it was a great game. Dak and I've spoke about the particulars of the game time and time again, and I think even more so when you go through different situations, and there were situations in that game that came up, and now that we're in the same offense, he can see the similarities and why we do what we do, and and really the history behind it. So, but we've talked about that game a number of times.
And just to follow up on that, he gave the point specifically about, they came back and then he was kind of like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, just another lucky play. But now that he's been with you, he realizes just going through those situations. So he's talked a little bit about situational football, how it's not just, this is the down and distance, this is everyone needing to know where you are in those situations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the NFL, clearly in the last couple of decades, it's so competitive. You just look at the statistics, year in and year out, how many games come down to the last series, down to the last play. So I think like anything, and I think it's probably consistent throughout the league, but I know that we clearly spend probably 25 to 30% more time at the end of the game in situations than I did, in the earlier years, and I've just seen that increase, and you find different ways to deliver those messages and teaching opportunities, and Ryan Feeder does a phenomenal job for us in the team meetings on Saturdays, and then we take it a step further with our Cowboys 6 and John Foss. So we spread that around, and it's because you're always teaching. Rehearsing those things. We spend time on it on Fridays and Saturdays as opposed to just Saturdays. So there's a lot of time that goes into that. And now that Dak sees, because it's a lot of it's carryover from Green Bay. So particularly in those late game situations.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Telegram. I know you're not trying to look back and get nostalgic. How do you stop your family from doing that? And I don't know, are they Packer fans, Cowboy fans? Where are you? How do you control the house?
Do you control it?
Well, I mean, I'm living. I got a wife and 3 daughters, obviously 2 sons, but you can't win in that house. So that's a great question, Clarence. I can't believe I'm saying that to you today. But I don't know. I think the biggest thing is playoff time, and it's really I talked about in the team meeting today is this is a time for all of us to be selfish. Every player, every coach, every support staff member, because we put so much into this season, getting ready for the season, and we're right where we need to be, and we need to take full advantage of that. And that's that's just really the tightness that we want in the commitment, because. Last year, I thought it was important for me to talk about, Green Bay in the beginning of the week. I did with the team. I regretted it. I don't think that doesn't even need to come into our energy base. So you live and learn. This game's about our commitment. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It really doesn't. I mean, I had no stake. I didn't watch one game prior to the yesterday's contest in preparation. So just started last night on the plane, and that's where I am, and I think that's clearly where our team is. Our team, this is it's just no time for that. I answered the questions honestly in here last year about my experience up there. It will not help us win. So if it doesn't help us win the game, I'm not interested. I apologize. Is that it?
Todd Archer of the ESPN. The game against them, even if the quarterback is different now, how much do you look at what you did against them last year in preparation for this one?
That's another great question. I think that clearly I know this morning just trying to, get in tune with their, they got some new faces, particularly, play a lot of guys in their secondary, throughout the year. Obviously they've gotten healthy here of late, but, Yeah, I really last night and this morning has just been really just getting tied into their personnel. Have seen Jordan a few times in the breakdowns. Obviously has great command of the offense. You can see he's comfortable. He's made some excellent time clock plus throws. So I have noticed that, but I mean it is early. We're early into the preparation right now, but it's really just getting tuned with the matchups.
With Stephon Gilmore, did you guys get encouraging news today off of his?
Yes, we did. So saw Stephon obviously before the team meeting. He's been here all day, so he definitely feels good about the opportunity Sunday. So we'll see how the week goes, but it was better than we anticipated.
Saad Yusuf, The Athletic. Mike, in 2016, you were the veteran team going up against an upstart young team. This year, the Packers are the youngest roster coming into the season. What's the advantage of being the team that's kind of been through it a little bit and going up against a team that is kind of inexperienced and young and still coming into it?
I think playoff football is playoff football. I mean, there's so much that goes into how are you playing, today. It's a long year. A lot of things go on during the course of the year. I think it's all part of the investment, the bank account of experience and awareness that you have to go through each and every year. It's all building that connection in all three phases. I do feel, the complementary football formula and the production numbers are where they need to be for us. But yes, I'm by no means an expert on the veteran team versus the young team. I think anything can happen in the playoffs. Just look at I know the last 2 years, I think there's only been one game, as I've stated already, that doesn't come down to the end. So I don't think it's, whether you're young or old. I mean, they've earned the right to be in this game, and I'm sure they're, excited about it and confident, and because I know we are.
Is the experience that your young players have, like Micah, he's a young guy, but 3 years now in the playoffs, CD, same type of thing. Do you think that there's any help for them in knowing the stage and the moment?
Oh, I think it definitely helps because, it makes you hungry. They're definitely hungrier, and I think we all make a mistake. And I know, my first year in the league, it was 1993, and we lost the AFC Championship game in Buffalo. And I thought, man, this is awesome. This is great. I made more in playoff bonuses than I did in my salary. And so you think you're going to go there every year, and but it's not the reality of this league, So been a number of championship games, but only been to one Super Bowl. That's 30 years, and I just think that's the reality that I know, particularly younger older coaches and older players, definitely express to everybody because there's a playoff urgency that's different, and we all understand what's at hand here. We got this one opportunity, and we got to first things first, take care of the preparation.
Babe Loffenberg, Cowboys Radio. Obviously, you've been down this road many times, but how do you get to the playoffs? How do you balance leaving no stone unturned, so to speak, and not going down rabbit holes and getting away from kind of what your preparation has been all season long?
Yeah, I'm not a big rabbit hole individual. I don't chase ghosts. I think it's important to, you got to have a long-term plan, a short-term plan. I think it's also important why you break down the season into trimester or quarters, because I think it gives you a nice, check and balance to work through that and know where you want to be on offense, defense, and special teams. So I think going through that process through the year gives me a really, really engage where we are as a team and how we want to play and how we want to play against these guys. So, but I do think, our new analytics department has been awesome because, they live in those rabbit holes. So, and when they, run across an extra carrot or something, it's good that they bring it. I was trying to be funny, but no, I think that's their job, and I've enjoyed having, John Parks and his staff because they do a really good job of, any anomalies or anything. So, and that's something you should look at. But yeah, everybody says, you wait to the bye week to do your self-scout. Well, if you wait that long, you waited, so they do a great job week in and week out. We have a process, and so we just got to stick to our process.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Tyler Smith, how's he feeling today?
Feeling better. Obviously he went on a trip. That was good news. He traveled. I would think, come Wednesday, I think we listed him limited when we talked about him this morning. So
You talked about you regretted talking about Green Bay for your team last year. Why did you regret it?
it's a player's game. Always has been, always will be. You know, it's not, and that's all it should be focused on. I believe there's 24 hours in a day. We got 7 days to prepare, and if we're not working on winning, then it's a waste of time. And really, you know, to put that on their hearts and felt that they needed to speak on my behalf in the locker room, and you know, I just, you know, I won't do that again.
Mike Jones with WFAA. You guys led the league in points scored during the regular season. Obviously, you're taking over the play calling duties at the start of the year. How much of that relationship between you and Dak and the growth of this offense throughout the year is what you implemented versus his progression as well?
Well, I think, you know, if you've asked any offensive play caller and if you've asked any quarterback, I mean, that relationship's imperative to success. I think that's being captain obvious. So everybody does it differently. Everybody plays quarterback a little differently. Everybody calls plays a little differently. Everybody coaches 4 verticals differently. So I think just, you know, being in tune with that, the connection, the communication, the detail, the organization, his preparation process matching, you know, Brian Schottenheimer, Scott Tolzien, Chase Hazlitt's, Ryan Feeder. You know, we got a really tight, you know, Evan Harrington. Our quarterback room's diverse, so getting that nice and tight and getting him into a rhythm, you know, and I think Cooper Rush and Trey play a big part of that too. So all of that factors, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm calling it and he's hauling it, is what Dak likes to say, and I think that's the way it has to go. And that connection's it's you know, it takes extra time. We put the time in early through camp, and you know, like during the course of the week, you know, that was something that you know, just from being a head coach, just doing the head coach only responsibility, I was concerned about it because it's different. And I know how much time it goes into it, but it's worked out well, you know, and I think the proof is in the numbers.
Scott.
Scott Dixon with the AP. Do you think going through the Green Bay thing last year helps now? Kind of got it out of the way last year?
Yeah, personally, it helps me. I mean, it was good to go back there, frankly. You know, I think the biggest thing I got out of going back there was I got to see a lot of people I didn't get to see at the end, so I was thankful for that. So would have liked to win the game, and then at the end of the day, this is my team. You know, I'm a Dallas Cowboy, and this is our opportunity, and I just want to make sure I'm doing my part, and that's pouring everything into winning this game.
Garrett.
Garrett Cornell, CBS Sports. Packers DC Joe Barry and his kind of zone off coverage scheme came under fire for a rough patch at the end of the year. They've kind of turned around a little bit against some non-playoff teams. What are your initial thoughts looking at that defense?
Known Joe a long time. I've competed against them, so just trying to get into a rhythm of, you know, of their defense. You know, obviously we played them last year, so a lot of carryover from last year, and you know, we've played some comparable defenses. So yeah, you know, that's all I'm focused on. You know, so it's a very talented team, talented defense. You know, there's a lot of value that they have in their defense. They've played a lot of guys. That's, you know, just watching them. You know, going back. You know, started with the Chargers game, and you know, moving forward there. I mean, there's particularly the secondary. So I'm just trying to get locked in on these guys.
Todd. Back to Dak and the time you said you guys put in camp. Was it all just, hey, here are the plays, or is it personal stuff that you guys are trying to? Because you guys have been close since you got here, but this obviously draws you closer when it's that much more time.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I think the Thursday night meeting is probably a pretty good gauge, you know, to answer your question. You know, we get together Thursdays at 5 o'clock, and it usually goes to around 7. So, you know, so you got a 2-hour meeting. You know, half an hour, 40 minutes is probably football. The other's about life, and that's imperative. Yeah, so that's a big part of it.
Just the nature of this time of year, any of your staff or assistants get interest from elsewhere. How do you handle that and you know, kind of go about it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's you know, excellent opportunity, and I think it's great to see your individuals on your staff recognized, because you know, it's no different when players get recognized. You know, everybody knows this is the ultimate team game. So yeah, it's, we communicate and, you know, we follow the guidelines.
Last year you had some kicking issues toward the end of the year, and then obviously yesterday Aubrey misses the first two. How important was it just to see him make that 50-yarder, especially with what's going ahead of you?
Well, I mean, I thought you guys would criticize my play calling there at the end, but that it really was to give Brandon an opportunity. I wanted him to kick one more before we got out of there last night. So, you know, the block was unfortunate. Obviously, we had a breakdown there in the protection. So, and then the second one hits the bar. So I think the only thing that really comes out of it is we all now realize Brandon's human. So, and the human thing to do was to give him another trip to the plate, and so I was glad we were able to get that opportunity for him.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.